Hey folks, today we'll discuss the drama miniseries You Are My Missing Piece from 2022. The handsome young man Ute introduces the episode by explaining that he has a condition that causes him to overreact to even the smallest things. He feels irritated with everything that is unmanaged in his home or at work, and he also struggles with socializing and going to restaurants. We can see him packing several hand sanitizers in his bag before leaving home in the scene where he confesses that he really wants to leave this situation. The picture then cuts back to Yoon being late for his business meeting. To make matters worse, as he prepares to enter the office after getting off his scooter, he steps in dog excrement but doesn't wipe it up as anticipated. Everyone in the meeting room is repulsed by the odor, so his boss orders him to clean his shoes first. Embarrassed, Ute flees to the bathroom and begins to clean his shoe when, as he is doing so, he notices a germ monster emerging from the trash. Returning to the present, you tell the doctor that ever since the germ monster incident, he has been seeing germs everywhere, even in soaps. As a result, these days, he has had to the principal offenders being her school. Aang explains to the headmistress and her father that she wants to live her life without expectations or pressure. She also admits that she suffers from depression and is unsure how to deal with it in a calm manner. Fortunately, you pick up the phone and promise to give it back to her the following day. The following day, Aang is first approached by her classmate Chai, who offers her a ride to school, but she immediately declines and tells him hi. The doctor reassures her that she can be healed with appropriate medication and encouragement. He also tells her that she is not alone in this fight. Aang asks Cheryl to withdraw from the scholarship competition taking place at the school, but the latter takes it the wrong way and gets angry. Their conversation quickly turns into an argument, and Aang walks away after her homeroom teacher Miss Dream calls her to her office in the following scene. Aang is the gold medalist of her batch, and Cheryl is always second to her because she is not interested in competing for any scholarships. Miss Dream provides her a new study plan and commands her to adhere to it going forward. She also informs her that she must attend one-on-one tutoring sessions for each of the required topics. As soon as Miss Dream hears this, she is shocked and tries to explain that Aang cannot withdraw from the competition because many of her well-wishers have expectations of her. However, Aang doesn't listen to any of it and walks out of the office. In the meantime, Yuta arrives at the school entrance and obtains permission to visit Aang. He sees her sobbing by the side of the hallway and notices that she is in panic mode. The scene then cuts to the following day, when the two are presenting the headmaster with their new soap brand. Fortunately, the headmaster is impressed with the quality and smell of the product, so he agrees to buy the soap. In addition, he is intrigued by Uta's business acumen despite his youth, so he offers him a position as a guest teacher at the school, which, to his surprise, he accepts. The following day, Ute gets ready and arrives at school for me. The next day at school, Chai approaches the headmaster and informs him that the new teacher Ute is actually suffering from OCD. When asked how he got this information, he reveals that his hacker friend told him. This somehow convinces the headmaster, so he immediately calls Ute to his office. The two of them discuss the matter for a while, and Ute claims that his condition will never interfere with Hai. Aang is happy to hear this and switches back to his stream to continue her private instruction, but soon after she states that she is weary and wants to call it a day since Ute grudgingly agrees later that night when Aang calls to see how he is doing despite having rashes all over his hands. Miss Dream is somewhat reluctant, but when her pupil insists, she lets her leave. As soon as Aang exits, she phones Yu and invites him to their normal meeting location. There, she observes his damaged hands and requests that he see a doctor in the scenario that follows. Ute sees Dr. Jan, his psychiatrist, and tells her all that is happening in his life. Surprisingly, she expresses happiness that Ute is making an effort to socialize and return to his normal life. She then offers to assist him overcome his fear of germs. When Jan urges him to take a pen from an elderly lady, Ute finds the task intimidating and hesitates, but with a lot of support from his psychiatrist, he succeeds in taking the pen. After the meeting, the young person begins to feel more at ease using public transportation and pushing buttons while crossing the street. But when he unintentionally drops his phone on a filthy pavement, his fear of germs is reignited. A few seconds later, as Yoon and Aang are conversing, Cheryl watches them and becomes envious, evidently feeling something for Ute. She immediately rushes to Miss Dream and reports that Aang is about to lose the scholarship competition because to a lack of attention. The former soap dealer of the school confronts the student during class and begins accusing him of stealing his business, but Ute bravely handles the situation and sends him away. After this, he messages Aang and asks her to meet him urgently, but Miss Dream says she will think about it later. She confiscates all the student phones, including Aang's, and asks them to concentrate in class. When she goes to Aang's parents' place, she believes they are dating and lets them know. When she gets home, her father chastises her for being in a relationship and tells her to concentrate on her schoolwork. The next day, upset, She runs to her room, closes the door, and begins sobbing to keep you away, while Aang and Cheryl yell at Chai for misbehaving in the headmaster's room. The headmaster decides to question you and seek out the truth elsewhere. Chai decides to cause some trouble and spill some dog poop on his chair. As soon as he notices it, he freaks out and falls to the floor. His condition quickly worsens and he is taken to the hospital. Ute gets Khan back. Awareness and immediate messaging on describing to her his situation. Aang is relieved to learn that he is doing well, but she is also disappointed that Mrs. Dream has drifted away to focus solely on her studies. The episode ends with Aang messaging you to learn about his condition as she heads to the bathroom with a handful of pills. She is even reprimanded by her father when she mentions that she is no longer interested in competing for the scholarship. He also threatens to harm you if she keeps seeing him. Angus will become a regular doctor one day. Dr. Nan explains her mental health while at the hospital. When Aang says she feels alone and misses her special someone, the doctor acknowledges her for sharing her feelings and expresses happiness that she is handling the situation. After hearing this, the doctor makes a promise to assist her in any way he can. In the following scene, while Aang is attempting to contact you, Yuta is alone in his home, avoiding Aang's calls. When someone rings the doorbell, he rushes to welcome the visitor, who is none other than Aang's mother. Cheryl approaches her and accuses her of the youth's absence from school. Asami mentions that she is there because Aang's doctor informed her of her loneliness and that her daughter's condition is deteriorating, while also informing the youth that her daughter is under tremendous pressure from her teachers and father to take the scholarship test. Later, as the two are conversing, Asami asks for their assistance in comforting Aang. When Asami receives a call from A, the caller sobs as she informs her mother that she is unable to manage the strain. Panic when Asami inquires about her whereabouts. Aang responds that she is impatiently waiting on a bench outside her school. Asami and you had arrived at the destination but were unable to locate Aang. As soon as you realized that Aang might be by the bridge where they usually met, they hurried there and were able to locate her. As soon as Zhang saw her mother and you, she gave each of you a bear hug and apologized for her behavior as they made their way back home. Asami makes it plain to Aang that she may keep seeing her kind friend Ute and that she is not required to take part in the scholarship competition. Just as the mother-daughter duo arrives home and Chet begins berating Aang for missing her tutoring sessions. Fortunately, Asami stops him and sends their daughter to her room. On the other hand, as he drifts off to sleep, the adolescent gets ready to give his next batch of soap and hand washes to the school. After sneaking into his home, Pang, the former soap salesman at the school, adds something to Uta's products. The following day, Ute, unaware of what has happened, brings the products to school and places them in the bathrooms where one by one, students begin using them. Ute then goes to the headmaster and requests his position be restored. After giving it some thought, the headmaster suggests that he continue as a cram course instructor for students attending the university. After then, the scene switches to Aang's classroom, where Mystery Miss Dream is absent, and when Aang calls her, the latter responds that she has some urgent work. After class, Aang talks to Miss Dream and informs her that she is no longer interested in participating in the scholarship competition. This obviously irritates Mystery, who claims that Aang is in no position to make that decision, but Aang replies that she has already made up her mind and walks away later that evening. The following morning, after learning that Aang has withdrawn from the scholarship competition, the headmaster visits Miss Dream to confirm the situation. As they are talking, Cheryl enters the office and requests that she be allowed to compete in Aang's place. Surprisingly, her request is granted, and Miss Dream is charged with preparing her for the competition. Meanwhile, Ute's tampered bathroom products cause a reaction to the student's skin and an allergic reaction. Ute is summoned right away to the office and given the information. Sadly, the headmaster terminates his soap contract and requests that Pang continue delivering his goods while waiting. When Cheryl returns home, her parents have reprimanded her for skipping the Mystery's tutoring session because they only care about their own reputation and not the situation with their daughter. Their constant torturing of Cheryl has caused her to have a severe reaction on her hands, making it difficult for her to prepare for the competition. The next day, Miss Dream tells her students that she is taking them on a field trip and divides them into different grades. In the meantime, one of their servants comes to her room and mentions that someone is asking for her. Cheryl immediately rushes to the ground floor and finds you waiting for her. She assumes that he is there because he cares for her, but in reality he is just there to find out how his products have affected the students. When Cheryl is approached by Aang and asked to join their group, she declines and exits the classroom. There, she sees Pang admitting to his assistant that he had indeed put acid into Uta's items. When Cheryl hears this, she instantly approaches you to tell him the truth, but before she can say anything, you reveal that he has no affections for her. This revelation infuriates Cheryl, and she leaves without informing him about Pang in the scene that follows. The following day, Miss Dream takes the students on a field trip and asks them to write a report about the location while they are there. Pang is terrified when Cheryl confronts him about his dirty secret. At the same time, you arrive and begin assisting Yang with her research, which makes Cheryl even more envious. When Cheryl confronts you when you see Aang and Mystery together, you explain that you have done nothing wrong and are simply trying to help the students. In the meantime, Cheryl wanders off from her group and hides next to a bush. She decides to cause drama and wounds herself with a pen when the students find her. Unfortunately for her, she pretends to be bitten by a snake and the students believe her. Miss Dream blames him for Aang's refusal to enter the scholarship competition. When Newt hears this, he gets angry and reveals that Aang is actually suffering from impression because of all the pressure that has been put on her. After Newt examines the wound and informs everyone that it does not appear to be caused by a snake, the headmistress summons Cheryl's parents to the school and requests that they take good care of their daughter at home. Surprisingly, Cheryl's parents don't think their daughter is ill and ask the headmistress to help her prepare for the competition. Following the meeting, they take Cheryl home and discipline her for humiliating them. The mother even yells at Aang consults Dr. Nan about her illness, and the doctor lets her know that she is making good progress and even offers advice for helping an OCD patient. Following their successful visits to various locations, Aang obeys the directions and begins supporting Newt in playing various activities and going places in public. Aang meets the selfish parents and suggests that they spend more time with their daughter than their business, but Cheryl's parents do not believe her and walk away. The next day, Cheryl meets Shoot and expresses her gratitude for thinking of her. They had just entered a restaurant to have lunch when she receives a call from Cheryl's parents asking to talk to her about their daughter. Cheryl, who is already enraged, threatens to expose Pang for what he did to the youth's products, and Hang responds by threatening to tell everyone about her plan to attack Aang. Suddenly, Yut arrives and it appears that he overheard their argument. He confronts Cheryl for her actions and decides to call the police to arrest Pang. The latter tries to flee, but with the help of the school guard, Yut manages to catch him. However, on the other hand, a depressed Cheryl goes to an amusement park where her parents used to take her frequently as a child, and right then her parents realize that they have been forcing Cheryl to do something that she doesn't want to do all this time, and they were treating her unfairly, which has clearly impacted her mental health. Miss Dream calls Cheryl's parents and informs them about the situation. She then asks where their daughter's favorite place is, but the self-centered parents have no idea. You hear Cheryl's cries and rush towards it first. He hesitates to jump, thinking of all the germ monsters in there, but when he realizes there is no time to hesitate, he gathers some courage and dives into the pond. Soon he locates Cheryl and Bree. Yut, Chai, and Aang go to the park and start searching for her. Meanwhile, Cheryl stands in front of a pond and jumps into it while she is drowning. While she gets, although Cheryl is now conscious, Yut is still in the intensive care unit. Cheryl's parents recognize their error and express regret to their daughter for pressing her and ignoring her young person's parents, who also visit him at the hospital. The boy's father admits that he failed to comprehend his kid and so effectively forced him into this situation. A few days later, when Walang is by himself and speaking to you, he regains consciousness and says that he hasn't forgotten their former agreement to have each other's back at that time. The young person's parents arrive and are overjoyed to find him smiling next. After hearing all of this, Chad also realizes his error and apologizes to Aang for yelling at her and pressuring her all the time. He then tells her that she will now live her life as she wants. In the end, all of the families become aware of issues like depression and OCD, and they now recognize the importance of seeking treatment. The series concludes when Chai asks Cheryl Walang to marry him, and you leave the school on his scooter.